We got two long sides here. These are plywood, but I'm just going to cut them normal. And these are too thin, but we're going to say these are going to be our two short sides. Before we go through the 3 steps we're going to look for, we're going to quickly go over those safety rules. So the first one is, if we look at the blade, remember as you're cutting, you have to make sure that you push your board all the way through the splitter guard and all the way past this red line. And you can see the red line over there too, it's kind of faded. But if you let go of your board right here, when your one board has become 2 boards, the chance of this getting pinched between the blade and the fence is really high. And if it gets pinched, that's when you're going to have the kickback, okay? So that's another safety rule. Remember to stand to the left of the blade. A lot of students want to get right behind it. If you imagine where the blade is, this line right here, and you stand to the left of it, if you have a kickback, it's going to go past you and not hit you in the stomach. Another one is make sure your hand stays at least 4 inches away from the blade. So when you set the fence, we're going to be setting it at 4 1/4 for our sides. Technically, that's wider than 4 inches, so you could use your hand to push it through, but most of the time people feel more comfortable using the push stick. So that's what we're going to use, even though we're a little wider than 4. And make sure the push stick is flat on your board. And lots of times when people are using the push stick, they want to get it way over here next to the fence, as far away from the blade as they can. But you actually want to get it over, be more like this, as close to this black guard as you can, so that you're keeping it against the fence as you push it through. So I'll help you adjust that when you come up to use the table side. I think, the other safety rule is you're going to want to set your blade height 1/4 inch above your material. And 1/4 inch is usually right where that wave of that tooth comes at the bottom. If you line that up with the top edge of your board, that ends up being about 1/4 inch. So to move that blade up and down, this one's a little bit low right now. There's a handle that looks like this right in front of you. Okay, this one's the tilt. Don't adjust that one. But this one right here, if you loosen the black knob first, you can use that silver crank to move it up and down. And right there is where I want it. If you go to move that and it's turning really hard, it's because you probably forgot to loosen up the black knob. So make sure you do that. All right. Here's what you are going to do when you got all your pieces glued together and ready to cut. So this is a checkpoint, so make sure you have your packet with you, and I'll just sign off on it saying I helped you out with this. You're going to take all 4 or 2, or you might have all your pieces glued together. Whatever you have, you need to set them right here, and there's 3 things we need to set. What's one of the 3 things we need to set? The width, right? We got to set how wide we're going to cut this. So in your finished size, in the first column on your packet, we made sure we had at least 4 1/2 inches for our pieces. That's our rough size. Now we want to cut to the finished size, which is going to be 4 1/4. And a lot of students get goofed up on the tape measure because it's got those little 32nds of an inch. So I always start at the 4 1/2. It's really easy to find, right between the 4 and the 5, right? And I know that 4 1/4 is in between 4 and 4 1/2. So I just work my way down from there, lock it down, and then you can have somebody double check that if you want. So I got my width set, that's one. What's another thing we have to check for? What? Saw height, right? We mentioned that before, but we're gonna lift this clear guard out of the way, and you wanna find whatever your thickest board is. So in this case, this one's the thickest one, and I'm going to check my blade height. And a lot of students are doing this, and they're down here, and they're trying to see how high that is. All you have to do is lift this guard all the way back, and it's going to stay up and out of your way. So instead of setting your blade height like this, take your board and set it right next to the blade, and then you can see exactly where those teeth are. So right now it's too high. Lower it down So the bottom of that tooth even with the top of my board. All right, I got my width set. I have my blade height set. There's one more thing that's kind of easy to forget. But the last thing you want to look for is on your board itself. You want to take a look at the edges and make sure that you have a clean edge that's going to go against the fence. Now, with this example, this is plywood, so these are all clean edges. These are both clean edges, so it doesn't really matter. But I want to stack them and make sure all my clean edges are against the fence. Here's an example of a rough edge. If your board has one of these, you want to make sure that that's out and your clean edge is against the fence. If you have two rough edges, make yourself a clean edge on the joiner, right? But if you think about it, it makes sense. This clean edge is going to be straight. It's not going to pinch as I cut. And when I'm done cutting, I'm going to get rid of the rough edge, the scrap. That's going to turn into scrap, right? So have your rougher edges out. All right, I got everything set. Remember to start with the push stick on the fence like this. We're going to start with the shorter sides, usually a little bit easier, because sometimes the shorter sides are short enough where you can grab the push stick right away. When I get to the longer sides, remember to have the push stick sitting there. Don't grab the push stick until the back of the board is even with the edge of the table. Hold on to it with your left hand. Don't let go with both. Hold on to it with your left hand, grab the push stick, and push that through the rest of the way. And you don't have to turn it off for every piece. You're going to turn it on, and you're going to run all four of them through at that setting. Okay? So I'm standing off to the left of the blade. Take my first piece. Let's get it started. Grab my push stick. I want to line it up with this guard, not way over here. Push it all the way through. Next one, I just slide back like this. And you want to keep your fingers out from that red area. That's kind of the danger zone. I don't have to grab this one right away. I can just leave it because it's not going to get pinched. Long ones do the same thing. Remember that red paddle down here turns it on and off. Troy, can you grab those for me, please? Yeah. All right, so at this point, if you did it right, all your pieces should be the exact same width. They should all match. If I was off a little bit on my setting, maybe I was only 4 3/16, it's not going to matter because they're all going to be the same, right? If you look at your packet, the next step is going to be planing down your pieces to 1/2 inch thick. Make sure you don't use the green planer for that because these short pieces and the long pieces probably are going to be too short for that. You have to use the white planer to plane them down. All right?